Hey people of the VC, it's Andy at Cloudy Amalda. Going to do my Vinyl Tag 2019. This is the third year running. I think I've done this. Always enjoy these. Some good questions. Some of them make me think quite hard about what I can show. And this year was no different. So let's dive straight in because these tend to be quite long videos, don't they? And I don't want to keep you too long. So number one, I hope I've got these questions right. If not, it's my own tag. Best find of 2018. I picked up a lot of stuff in 2018. I wasn't sure if this was the best find as in a release in 2018 or any album. So I've gone for the any album route. And it's probably not something people think is that rare, but it's an original UK pressing of Turbo by Judas Priest. Now I've always loved Turbo. I had it on a dub tape when I was a kid. I've had it on CD for many years, but a copy on vinyl has always eluded me. The reason I picked this was my find of the year is I did about 5 months ago now. I made this whole video about the irrational issue of vinyl reissues, and one of my more popular ones actually. And I was talking about how I had the reissue, the 30-year anniversary, but it didn't sit right with me until I got an OG. But a couple of weeks after making that video, and I completely put it down to making that video, I did find one out in the wild as well. I didn't have to go and look for it online and pay over the odds. I found it for a really good price, so I was incredibly happy to pick up that and satisfy that irrational hatred of or irrational issue with vinyl reissues. Question two, shout out to other VC channels who deserve more viewers. I've seen lots of people sort of talking about, do people deserve viewers or what have you, but the question says give someone a shout out, and while there are many channels I could give a shout out to, I'm just going to give one because that's what the question says, and I'm sure no one else will get offended if I don't give them a shout out, but I'm going to give a shout out to a newish member of the he calls it the metal community, and I can kind of see why he has CDs, but he's fairly new. He's only done 4 videos so far, but on 2 of them he's given me a shout out, so I think it's only fair that I return the compliment, and hopefully you guys will check him out. He's called Thrashing Chris, and as you can tell from the title of his name, he's a big thrash metal fan, so please go out and check his channel, help him out as he's just starting out. What holes are you looking to fill in your collection this year? I honestly really have no true grails left. There are some records I would probably love to have in the collection, but they're not because of any absolute need to have them. I'd like to get some original impressions of the first 2 Iron Maiden albums made in Japan. I do have The Killers and Iron Maiden, but these are 1985 Fame represses rather than being original 1980-81 presses. I'm still glad to have them. I'm not going to bust a gut or bust my bank to pick them up, but I would still like to say that I've got an original copy. Yeah, also, so I've just done my Music for Nations series as well. There are some gaps in there, certainly on the earlier numbers. I'd like to fill those in, but again, it's more of a fun thing to collect Music for Nations rather than an absolute must-have. So yeah, there we go. A cheap album that's really good. I'm kind of struggling to recommend something here because pretty much where I go shopping for records, mainly second-hand records, you don't know what's going to be there, and there aren't that many heavy metal albums, which is the main thing I'm looking for, that I kind of see time and time again. So it's difficult. Sometimes I might pick up something really cheap, and then next time it might be a lot more expensive if I have to come across it again, depending on the shop. Heavy metal vinyl, certainly in the UK, is not cheap. It seems to be a metal tax on on vinyl, and it's rising exponentially year on year. Probably a metal compilation. If you come across a metal compilation and it's cheap, pick it up, because as well as there probably being some good music on it, it'll probably introduce you to other bands as well. So that's my lame ass answer for this one. A favourite side project album, I'll go for SOD, Stormtroopers of Death with Speak English or Die. This is the side project, obviously, of kind of Anthrax and Nuclear Assault, or Charlie Bellante and Scott Ian from Anthrax, Dan Ilka from Nuclear Assault, and Billy Milano on vocal. I don't know, was he Billy Milano from somewhere? I know he was in MOD as well, but I think they came after. But yeah, side project, Stormtroopers of Death. This is what, from 1985. Question 6. A song from an artist that is uncharacteristic in their catalogue. I've kind of gone for another Anthrax one as well. I was struggling with this one, I really was. I did think of on Who Made Who, AC/DC, but I've watched 2 videos today, and 2 guys already showed that one. So I'm going to go with Anthrax again. I'm going to do I'm the Man. Uncharacteristic, because obviously it's not a thrash metal song. It's a rap metal song that they put together. I thought this was really good fun. This is a sort of version with 3 different versions on this EP. I thought it was really fun in the 80s. Thought it was funny, loved it, everything, but I really don't care if I don't hear that song again anymore. So these next 2, the last album you purchased and an album you learned about from a VC in the last year, is one and the same album. So I was watching, I'm just going to check his channel name, I think it's Fozzy Vinyl Mania. Sorry, totally unprepared. Fozzy Vinyl Mania. Yeah, Fozzy Vinyl Mania. His end of year list for 2018. It had a mixture, had a lot of kind of black metal stuff in there, which isn't my thing at all. But he had a number of other things listed in there, some new wave of traditional heavy metal, and this album, which is by a band called Black Wolf, and it's kind of a stoner metal band, and the album's called Sinister Sides. It came out in 2018. It's on Ripple, so you know it's going to be good if it's on Ripple. They do really good stoner stuff. But the song I listened to, having watched his video, was the title track, Sinister Sides, and I thought that was amazing. It contains 3 tracks with Jeff O'Keefe originally from Pentagram. So his recommendation came, I think it was the 28th of December he put his video up. So he recommended it in 2018, and it's subsequently the last album I purchased because it arrived the other day. So I thought I'd do a quick seal to reveal now, so we can see it for the first time. There we go. Sinister Vibes. It's on. It's quite a nice looking gatefold there. It's just a single album with picture sleeve, and lyrics. Very nice, and I think it's probably just on black vinyl. Yeah, with custom labels. There we go. So that's my newest. Haven't played it the whole way through, but given what I've heard of Sinister Sides, it's going to be a good one. So yeah, so that answers 2 questions. Question 9, a great album with a bad cover. I've gone for Accept, Balls to the Wall. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the target audience they were going for with this one, but this is a killer heavy metal record from what, 19... is it from 1984? Yeah. And a bad album with a cool cover. I've probably picked out about 3 or 4 albums which I think from my whole collection I don't really like that much, but the covers were also not that fantastic either, not that cool. But I did come across one, and yeah, Quite Right 3. First couple of Quiet albums I really like. This one I just think is really not up to scratch at all. But I think the cover's quite cool with a guy looking through the cutout band name. There we go. Question 11, a blues album. I don't have any blues music at all, or certainly not straight up traditional blues type music, but I do have some blues rock, so I will push the boundary slightly and show you a deeper cut by the Temperance Movement, which came out last year as well. It's really quite chilled and I won't say groovy or funky, but it's not really those, but it's a nice change from heavier stuff that I listen to. Question 12, an Earworm song. So that's supposedly a song that keeps going around in your head, and you can't get out of your head and you're singing along to it. Well, my wife listens to a lot of commercial radio and pop. I hear a lot of what's in the pop and the charts, and there's a lot of stuff that is annoyingly catchy. But the one song I am actually going to pick is one of my daughters, and again, it's one that I've heard so many times. So I hate musicals. I've always hated musicals. I think it comes from the time when I was I dropped off with my grandparents every weekend as a kid, and pretty much all that was on Saturday afternoons was Saturday matinee was on the TV was like musicals, and I just kind of I can't watch them since. I'm really not a fan at all. But my daughter got really into the Greatest Showman, and we've got it on DVD, and it's actually quite a good movie. And we got the soundtrack in the car, and everywhere we go in the car, she sits in the back and she just shouts out numbers. She's like number 1, number 4, number 11, and so the actual title track, The Greatest Showman, is a song I find myself humming away to absent-mindedly, but I actually like this soundtrack. It's not the number of times I've heard it. I've not kind of got bored with it yet, and we all sing along in the car to it, so quite a sight really. But there we go. Yeah, so that's my Earworm song, and it's one I'm not that. It doesn't upset me too much, which is quite good. Right, a historically important artist. So I'm a heavy metal guy, and there are some big bands there, but I didn't want to pick one that maybe a lot of the other guys into the same music would, so I want to go for Black Sabbath. I'm not really a Deep Purple fan, I'm not a Led Zeppelin fan. Iron Maiden were probably an obvious choice of the new wave of British heavy metal that went through it, but I've gone for a band I've already talked about, mentioned a couple of times already so far, and they are one of my favourite bands, and I've gone for Anthrax. And the reason I've gone for Anthrax is because they have been pioneers of two subgenres of metal. That's obviously thrash metal. Now, I'm not saying that they invented it. I'm saying they were early adopters, early pioneers, and one of the bands that really brought it to the the general public. But they were also kind of responsible for also the rap metal side. So I'm the Man Again, and sort of the hip hop thrash side with the collaboration with Public Enemy. But whereas I'm a big fan of thrash metal, I'm not such a fan of the rap hip hop metal side. But Anthrax, they have certainly one of the pioneers and brought it to the sort of the mass public, that style of music. So I will give that question to Anthrax. They're not obviously they're not going to be one of the ones like the Beatles, as say, or Black Sabbath, or what have you. But I think they've done a good job of throughout their career of bringing new styles of music to the mass public. Question 14. An album you own because of your parents. I don't own any music because of my parents at all. I probably don't own country music because of my parents, and I probably don't own much classical music because of my parents, but they were just never big music listeners in the house. Really wasn't much music going on. So yeah, can't answer that one. Or I have answered it, but I can't show everything. 15, best dollar bin find. So we don't have dollars here. If you're lucky at a record shop, all the crap that or if you're not lucky, all the crap that they don't have, they can't sell at the second-hand record shops I go to, are in the buckets underneath the counters where you flip through records, and they tend to be anything from 50p to £1. But I know there won't be any records that I'm interested in there, and if they are, they'll be absolutely beat to shit. So. Yeah, so I never look in there. As I say, there's a metal tax. As soon as something's in the heavy metal bracket, it'll be up in the bins above, and it'll be priced high. But a couple of years ago, I did go to a record show, and flipping through a box of £2 records, I did pick up a copy of Unleashed in the East, which is in fairly good condition. In fact, it's in excellent condition for a £2 record. Nothing wrong with it at all, just a minor bit of ringwear around the outside. But £2 probably equates to, what, $5-6 maybe? $4, $3.50, I don't know. So yes, Unleashed in the East, that was a cheap pickup. Favourite double album for Metallica and Justice for All. Pretty much when they were at their peak. I'm not saying it's their best album, I know some people do, but they were at the peak of their powers by the time that this came out. So yeah, double album, love it. A 10-inch record. I've got to go away from metal for this one. This is what I've not listened to in a long time, but I thought it'd be fun to show. And it's a picture disc 10-inch single from Dinosaur Jr. called Start Chopping. Now, this came from their 5th studio album. What was that called? Where You Been? I was quite big into Dinosaur Jr. In the early 90s. I saw them play in Manchester. Actually ended up getting stuck in Manchester and just staying at some random bloke's house, which is it's an interesting story, but it's a story for another day. So there we go, that's my 10-inch single. 7-inch single, get some Ramones, or indirectly Ramones. This is a Richie Ramone single I picked up from a gig last year. He played in Edinburgh, and got to sign it as well. This is I Fix This, which was his latest single at the time. No date at the back, it's probably 2017 release, 2018 release. That's question 18. Question 19, favourite album to fall asleep to? It all depends on how much I've had to drink, really. If I'm laying back on the sofa there and got a record on and I'm familiar with it, my thoughts can go away and I could quite easily drift off to sleep listening to anything if I'm relaxed enough. I used to do a lot of flying before I moved up to Edinburgh. I came up about 6 months before my wife did, and so I would fly back down south every sort of weekend and fly back up. So I was doing a lot of flying, and I found that something like the first two Iron Maiden albums, or Live After Death, albums I'm so familiar with that I could just completely tune out my surroundings and maybe even nod off for 10 minutes on the flight. So, but I don't generally put on music to fall asleep, but I sometimes have fallen asleep when I listen to music. But there we go. And finally, number 20, my favourite VC experience and or advice for people contemplating new videos. So a couple these are from 2018. First one was I got recognised by a band. I did a review of Toledo Steel's new release. I think it was a new release, or talked about them. Yeah, it was a new release actually. Talked about one of my new wave of British heavy metal videos. I did it earlier in the year. Went to one of their gigs, and their singer said, "Aren't you that guy off YouTube?" Which was quite amusing. I also had a couple of meetups as well. So Metal Mickey and the Rock Scout, we went down to see Chris Holmes play in Carlisle. Truly awful gig, but it was a fun road trip. And I also met up with Chris Barron earlier on in the year. Merrily Chris, sorry, I forgot your channel name for a second then. When I went down to Newcastle to meet up with some of the friends, I met up with him first, and we went digging. That was a lot of fun. As for advice for people contemplating making, I don't even have to drink tonight. Contemplating making videos, I'd just say don't make videos for anyone else other than yourself. Don't try and impress anybody. Don't feel you have to buy stuff to show. If you've got a collection, think about what you've got in your collection, what would be fun to show. Think of maybe some themes, even if it's covers that are similar. I think I once did a video that just had picked all the albums I had out that had skulls on them. So you don't have to spend money for this hobby to work. You don't need a fancy camera. You don't need a fancy lighting system. In fact, the lighting in here is not great. And what I do is I use my mobile phone, put the torch on it, turn it inside out, and I've got a little magnet holder in the cover. So I turn it that way around, and I've got like a car mobile phone thing stuck to the shelf above me. So when I stick my phone up there, I get a lot better lighting, and the quality of my videos. Quality is in terms of the video quality, not the content, goes up as a result. Get up to sort of 1080. Yeah, so that's my advice really. Just be yourself. Show what interests you, and others that are interested will jump on. Yeah. Okay, I think I've rambled on long enough. Enjoyed other people's vinyl tags. Great time of year. Can't wait for next year's. Just a reminder, I've got my last video was a request for questions for my 600 subs celebration video. So check that out if you haven't, and leave me a question if there's anything you want to know further about this stuff, or any other of my musical tastes. Then let me know in a comment on that video, and I will answer every question that's asked. Thanks for watching. Catch you again soon.